This morning, let's start laying on our back. If you want to lay on a block, you can, but we're really not going to be laying there for very long. But keep your blocks handy. So just quick lay on your back. If you do want to throw the soles of the feet together, knees open, throwing your arms back beyond your ears is nice. It opens up the armpit, the lat, and the lymph, okay? But let's just start with a quick kind of grounded meditation. Not going to hold you here too long, so settle right in. Close your eyes, still your body. Maybe start to connect to your breath or set an intention. Starting to breathe deeper in and out the nose, trying to bring the abdomen more into the belly, the abdomen, the breath more into the abdomen. And again, we are trying to breathe in and out the nose, yogis, okay? That's something that's subtle but very important. Okay, please take your time. Big inhale and big exhale. Eventually, help your knees together. Bring your knees into your chest. Give it a good squeeze here. So I'm going to take just a little less time this morning to do any small things. With more regulars, I'm just not going to say things like draw circles with your knees or roll out your ankles, right? You remember that. We do that every time, okay? So eventually, we're going to go right for bridge movements. I'm going to start you right in your back body. Your arms are going to start down by side. Press the lower back down. Let's lift those hips. If you want to reach your arms back, you can. But if you always do that, it's good to do it sometimes with just keeping your arms down. Because the arms can kind of distract you from the articulation of your core and the quality of the hip thrust, okay? So lift those hips. What you do is you pause up there. You kind of really push your feet down more. You feel all parts of the body that are involved, and then you slowly lower down again. So there is movement and there is stillness. Got it? Lower back down, lift the hips. And you take a few more, okay? And as you can see, I started to speed it up a little bit less range of motion, a little bit quicker movement. If you're gonna move quick, less range of motion is always kind of safer, right? All right, guys, let's slowly meet with our hips on the floor, bring our knees into our chest, and we're gonna start to move our legs now a lot more. Press your lower back down. I'll keep moving through some exercises. You're just gonna start to kind of bicycle your feet. All right, now this might be too much, and you can kind of go something like this. Or if you want a little bit more core stability and challenge, you could curl your chest a little bit more. Okay, start to breathe. You could even hover your arms, depends on how you're feeling, okay? Okay, now listen, feet, knees together, arms down, lower back, head down. Draw circles with your knees, but have your feet never touch the ground. It's almost like your knees come toward your chest, your knees go left. It's almost like your toes tap and going like a big circle as well. So now via my hip movement, my legs are circling, okay? Do another one. It's like a more active variation of this that we normally do. Arms, head, back on the floor, and you're drawing circles the second direction. It's a much more complex core leg swing. Leg swings in general are considered some of the best ways to train your core, okay? When you're done, bridge, but now let the hold. Arms down, feet down, hips down, lower back down, then hips lift. Take your time. You don't have to keep up with me, all right? And I see some of you doing some different exercises. That's totally good. This time I'll grab the outer edges of my mat, roll my shoulders under more. I'll lift a little higher. I'll also maybe walk my hands into my body, intertwine, get that nice chest opening. I'll start to lift my heels here, so I think my block's in the way, but now we go a little bit more complex in the feet. So I lift my heels, I even lift my toes. I can even like widen my knees a few times, like a clamshell almost. So it's a little bit more of like a static, intense bridge with that second layer of smaller options, okay? Now go slow, lower down here. Now we're gonna go for the big twisting movement. Now arms go wide, feet release to the front. And basically what we're gonna do is bring our left knee kind of over toward my right wrist. Now you're probably not gonna get there, right? It's not about that. Left leg back in neutral, right knee over toward left wrist. So my opposite leg just stays straight forward. It's kind of like you're doing your single leg spinal twist, but in and out of it, okay? So it's right knee, left hand, left knee, right hand. Okay, you see it? Continue. And if you want, you can do the opposite neck position. As my left knee goes right, my head drops to the left. It's a pretty big one. So, feel it out. Take it slow. And then get your breath involved, like we're always working on in yoga. The idea in yoga is to, we know the prefrontal cortex is the conscious, the analytical information processing brain. It's the newest part of the brain. This is definitely clear science that's just very, proven. And the whole idea is that we're making more unconscious brain patterns conscious. That's the whole effort in yoga, is to be more conscious beings. So the breath can be very subconscious, but we're trying to make it more of a conscious brain expression. The body can be very subconscious. And I always talk about patterns. Know your patterns and your habits and your tendencies. That's subconscious autopilot action. We're trying to make everything we do physically, and then that bridge into the mind. Even the mind can be very subconscious. We know that. We're trying to make all these things happening in our thoughts more conscious, because the subconscious thought patterns are called beta default, which means you go into like stress brain. You might not think you're in a lot of stress, but they say 60% of your thoughts are like stressful in some form, okay? So they produce a certain chemical response in the body, which ages us faster. All right, get out of there, come back to center. There was your big twist movement, all right? So take a moment to neutralize that. Now we're gonna go for the double leg swing, then the thigh tap, a stretch, and we're done down here. So now our legs are gonna go upward here. Inhale, legs forward. Exhale, legs up. That's it. That's easier. Okay, so my lower back stays down. My legs go about 45 degrees. I engage those thighs, and then I come back in. So now it's symmetrical, right? If you're up for it, you can go legs more straight. Either way, knees bent or not, you can curl your upper body. You're going to get more abs for sure, because you add a crunch. If you want even more, either way, you can kind of like lift your pelvis. But be easy. So it's a leg swing with what's called a reverse crunch now, or a pelvic lift. You got to recognize, yogis, there's days to do soft abs, and there's days to do really strong abs, just like all muscles. Some days it's kind of like therapeutic ab strengthening, and sometimes it's like athletic. So I kind of showed both. The first one's being a little bit more therapeutic. Some days I'll just, if my back's sore, I'll approach my abs different than if it's feeling really good. Okay, so you gotta really just each day get that information. Where's your body at, and then apply the practice. Don't have expectations of what you think you should be doing automatically. Now I'm gonna go right for that abs I mentioned. Now listen, the legs were moving. Now we did a couple big knee movements. Now this is a simple one. I'm gonna widen my feet. I'm gonna reach my arms kind of forward. I'm just gonna go right hand, left thigh. I'm not gonna go all the way down. I'm gonna tap my right shoulder, left hand, right thigh. And it's just this little alternating, it's a very small movement. Right hand, left thigh, left hand, right thigh. That's it. It's not a big twist. It's a little kind of pulsing, rotating movement. It's super safe. Just to be clear, that twisting abs in general is considered the most risky.
even more so than lateral bending by some people. Some people say lateral crunching is. Some people say rotational crunching is the most dangerous. Symmetrical being the safest usually. So, just keep that in mind. If your back hurt, you might not do, you're basically on your back kind of just doing this. Right? We've done it like this where we kind of crunch out. We've done it like this where we crunch here. They're all kind of the same thing done in a different way, okay? Get out of there. That's a nice little 2 ab exercises. I want to go to a third bridge, final bridge here. You're going to have the opportunity to do one leg or angled bridge. Angled bridge is like this, soles of the feet together, knees open. I call this glute bridge because glutes fire like crazy. I'll let you decide. You get one more bridge. Your call here. Arms down, feet down. You can do hips lift. You can go 1 foot in the center, 1 leg up. You can even go down and up a few times. Get those good. You want those glute firing, yogis. A lot of times, you see people, I say this a lot, you're overtraining the front body, the abs in particular, and the hip flexors, and there's that imbalance in core stability. So the glutes in the lower back kind of get hard. They're difficult to fire well, which makes them, you can strengthen your muscles really well in 6 weeks. It takes 6 weeks to really, consistent, a lot of reps, and you can really change the condition of muscle in 6 weeks. But even sometimes that seems like a long time. You got to make sure you're noticing. All right, make sure you do your second side. Just got to make sure you notice those imbalances and really put a little bit more effort. Like if you're stronger in your hip flexors and your abs, save energy and do extra in the butt, like the bridge here. Okay, the back body. So I got one more final closing stretch for you. Nice and simple, the figure 4. Okay, right ankle at top left knee. It's just kind of like a grounding position. Slow down, soften for a moment. Okay, you flex your right foot, you pull. And then, I'm feeling pretty good today, so I'm just doing it active right now. I'm just kind of using my core to pull the knee in, as opposed to just, pulling with my arms. Okay, it might feel good if you want to take the quick second part, right foot slides on left knee and knees not right. So it still is the same figure 4. Personally, my body feels like I don't need to stretch that much right now. So I'm just going to another one to test that area. Okay, and then you'll switch sides, whether you're doing both or one part. So you can see I'm doing what's called an active figure 4. I'm not using my hands. I'm keeping my lower back down. And then, your pace into the second part. Right foot down, left foot on outer right knee. The right knee caves in. It's about as big as you can immediately rotate in the body. There's one more that we usually do, upright and lunge. All right, yogis, we're gonna come back to center. Happy baby, intermediates, plow. Eventually, everyone kind of rocking forward and back. Take as much time as you need. An intermediate practice, I don't mean like difficult postures. I just mean the idea of including the right brain, right? The intuitive, just more creative and artistic approach to the practice, okay? Sometimes you just get so left brain told what to do. We need to include more of the right brain. All right, cat-cow. When you're done and you're up, just take a cat-cow or 3, just to move our spine a little bit more freely. Everything we did do was kind of linear, so I'm just trying to draw in some circles, taking a moment here if it feels good. And then downward dog. So first frontal inversion. If down dog's too much right now, child pose is also a frontal inversion. So pedal your feet out. The book I'm reading right now is called Behave. It's an enormous sciencey textbook about behavior. It's the biology of humans at their worst and their best. It's all about the neurobiology And that's what the first chapter all talked about, how you've learned this in neuroscience before, but the front brain is like brand new development in the biology of the brain. Like no animals have it, and but we all have this like really developed amygdala, like basically like the reptilian brain. Like so we're really good at either being stressed or scared or annoyed or angry or sad. We're like very likely to be in those kind of negative emotions. And right now you're basically bringing your prefrontal cortex low and breathing deep to get a lot of oxygen and like cleansing and blood flow there. There's one of the things we know, that cells love blood, okay? And we want to make sure that's an intentional awareness that we're bringing blood flow into places it's not as there as much, okay? Let's keep going. Walk your feet to the front of your mat. So this is actually called a crown inversion. So it is considered different than dog, whereas the top of the head goes a little bit lower, hopefully here. Take an inhale, forward fold. So that is 2 forward bends in a row, or even more really. We are going to come into a little bit of a sun salutation. Think full body up and down movements, chair, squats, and lunges all going to be taken care of, okay? Let's bend our knees, hands on our hips, and let's rise up. Take a moment just to kind of intuitively move. And what we're going to do, yogis, is I'm just going to lead you through like once or twice, and we're going to do a little bit extra of this. The sun salutation is a very ancient way we manage the energy of our body, okay? So feet are going to step together in the more classic variation, but it's good to switch it up. Here we go. Let's take a nice big inhale. And I want you to think movement practice using strength, breath, and flexibility, okay? Nice big inhale here, yogis. And exhale. On your inhale, you take that chair pose, you bend your knees. And, I like to suggest a little bit slower in the beginning, kind of pausing. And as we go, we move faster. Forward fold, exhale. Big inhale, we half lift. That first plank position, you're welcome to take push-ups or pause in your plank. Okay, eventually maybe taking it down to the chest. Remember that gentle cobra here is one of my favorite ways to strengthen my lower back arch. I did these yesterday. I did like sets of the Kriya. Got to get that lower back arch activating, okay? Downward facing dog. Okay, inhale, right leg goes high, open up your hip. You can always do more core crunches here when I let you go. Big inhale, right leg goes high. Lift your left heel, let's shift forward to plank, forehead to knee. Step the right foot forward. And you can mix in different lunges when I let you go. There's always Anjana, there's always, high lunge or warrior one. There's always adding things up here too, okay? So I do want to see that creativity, listening to your body, okay? So I'm in that first lunge. I just want to make sure I don't let my back over arch. That's like the main thing here, yogis, okay? Not that, it's a little bit more like that, okay? Big inhale, take it down, right leg goes back. Vinyasa Chaturanga. Here's that place where you might do like a headstand in practice if that's calling to you today, or a handstand. It's also a place where you can slow down and do like a little bit more like, instead of doing the big vinyasas, you just do like high lunge and dog, high lunge. So let's come back to down dog. Left foot goes up. Open up the hip. That's a really nice stretch right there. That half scorpion in yoga, it's kind of unique, there's a few stretches that get that, but big inhale, left leg high, left foot steps forward. Take your time getting there, and let's rise up to our second side of our first lunge. You can also do things like pigeon, take it to warrior two as we go through this a few more times. I'm not really going to say that again, but reminder, how can you make this serve you better based on your understanding of your current situation in the mind and body? Okay, big inhale, take it down. Vinyasa Chaturanga, a movement through high plank and maybe low plank, and movement up into your up dog led by your inhale or your cobra. And then take a moment in down dog. So I mentioned gentle cobra. I see it all the time. A lot of people always skip gentle cobra. It's not better to do big cobra. It's different effect. Different intention would require upper, a big cobra, small cobra. Okay? I always do the little gentle cobra because it's more active and strengthening for my lower back. On your inhale, bend your knees, look forward. Hopper step, make your way to the front of your mat. Now, what's called vinyasa truly is one breath, one movement. Inhale, chair posture. Exhale, stand back up. And now let's breathe and move. Inhale is chair. Exhale is forward fold. Your inhale smoothly guides you to a half lift. Your exhale either steps you back to dog or takes you through your high plank to low plank. If you're in dog, you take an extra breath maybe. Your inhale takes you up into your back bend. Your exhale moves you back to down dog. Your inhale lifts your right leg up, even pulses it once or twice. Your exhale steps your right foot forward. Your inhale brings you up into your variety of lunge today. You're welcome to add an extra breath up there into another pose or two. Hands plant, right leg back, Chaturanga Vinyasa. So listen, guys, I want you to do your left side. I do want you to think one breath, one movement. It is movement practice. Your body is designed to move. You need to teach it to move regularly. And you need to apply strength in movement. That is called functional body, musculoskeletal body. I want you to keep moving. I'm going to just now, if you have a little music, turn it up. You got about 3 minutes. It's called free flow vinyasa. Really, it's considered some of the most advanced form of yoga. Big movements, ideally a little bit challenging and ideally a little bit feeling good. Okay? I'll flow with you. 2 to 3 minutes, please. People are under the impression that this has to look a certain way. I don't know. Tell me why. Tell me why it has to be a certain way, all right? I'd love to hear that email. You can see I'm doing weird stuff. I don't have to make it look a certain way. And then you're like, whoa, your left side was way different than your right. Yeah, my left side is much different than my right. Doesn't need the same thing necessarily. So I'm giving you a moment just to do free practice, free yoga practice. Sun salutation is just a good template, all right? It gives you a lot of space, structure to do a vinyasa sequence. And if you notice, if you were peeking up at me, you can see how I kind of go from some stretch-like movements into a tightening, strengthening, okay? And then I'll go into more like a asymmetrical to a symmetrical. That's kind of like a natural thing I kind of now do a lot, okay? So last few moments here, guys. Just to be clear, we will hold poses more after this. So, get them in if you want to do big movements, now's the time. All right, so that's a few minutes already. I do want to do a few more things here, and then get you a few more kind of like stretches in the end. So we will keep going. Eventually, you're done with your free practice there, Fuse. Look, so let's meet standing. Let's do a little bit of standing yoga. Let's get our what most people would call the most biofunctional position in exercise. A lot of people are like, why would you exercise on your back? You really need to be strong there. It's more upright, bending over, moving around on your feet is where functional compound strength is necessary, okay? Here we go, guys. Let's open up our feet wide. I'm gonna go right into like lateral rotational triangle. You might want your blocks, so have them near your feet. Right toes turn out, left toes turn to the right. All right? Hip, right hip dips. You can bring your arms wide. Slowly enter into your triangle. Take a few breaths to enter. Take a few breaths in your posture. Engage your legs. Drive your right hip forward. Lengthen your side bodies. Active stretching, please. Just one little cue. Notice the bottom shoulder. It tends to be here. It's like medially rotated and elevated. So it's opposite. I kind of roll the shoulder back and down. The scapula down my back. Just like you're standing here. Shoulders back and down, okay? If this is too much, bent knee or side angle is where like it's basically the same posture, it's a little easier on the lower back, okay? Now go slow, let's rise up. You can even take your block with you if you need. We're gonna slowly switch sides, not doing super long holds. I'll let you decide if you need more time. Drop your left hip down, lengthen laterally out over that front leg. And then notice even as I get in, I might have to adjust my footing a little bit, okay? Couple breaths here. Turn that body on, but also be soft. Triangle and gentle yoga, it's a tough one to kind of do. Usually I do it on the knee actually, but it's just something like this basically. You like keep support and you're here, just in case you're having that morning. Some days it is what it is. You don't sleep good or your body just is achy, strong exercise yesterday. And no matter how good of an athlete you are, there's always days for very gentle approach toward the body, okay? Now, go slow. Let's rise up, please. We're going to go for a twist on the upright position. Quick couple options. You're going to have to pivot probably to face the side. So now I'm facing like the back of my mat, how I step my right foot open. One quick option for a twist could be here. You have to pick one. Can't do everything. Hands in prayer, elbow out, cross thigh. Another nice option just could be to stick with triangle, okay? So revolve triangle, right hip back. Inhale, lift your chest, hinge. Eventually, after you maybe forward fold here, right hip back, lengthen, and twist to the right. Okay, so it's either like a revolve lunge here. You could even do a little softer variation, revolve side angle. I'll let you decide. All right, I want a revolved posture on your feet with asymmetrical legs. Both are bent over. Both are lengthening our spine. There are bigger variations if you know, arms wide, binding. Last few breaths here, please. Okay, now go slow. Let's slowly rise up. And we're basically, it's Hatha Yoga, right? Side to side postures here, but still focus on in between. Take your time. I'm in my lunge. Most of us did this one here. Bow and twist. Some of us maybe had the hand on the block. Right? The idea, it's called BLT. It's bent lifting and twisting with asymmetrical legs. So you have to kind of bend over and twist. Nice. Yeah, a few of us going for a revolve triangle. Definitely a little more difficult to lengthen that spine there. And notice that both postures, left hip kind of back and down in space, more so even in triangle. When the legs go straight, tightness will pull the hips more. Just breathe. That's all you got to do really is breathe. once you're in your posture. All right, now listen, yogis, please take your time. We're gonna come back to center. You're gonna shake it out a little bit, and we're gonna go right into balance. So these are all one-sided postures. If there's a, if you wanna do gentle balance today, you can go here, totally cool. A little bit more would be here. I'm gonna go right for warrior three. A nice little arm would be hands behind the head, intertwine your fingers, but I don't wanna see a lot of pressure on your head, yogis. I don't wanna see your shoulders lifting either. So little pressure in the head, it's like light. To keep yourself honest, you could just like touch your fingers, not even intertwine, okay? And then relax your shoulders back and down, open your elbows. Hover your left foot, please. Start to hinge. Now just kind of like instead of moving, let's work postures. You already did 1,000 steps forward and then leg goes back, right? So that's that same movement. It's basically sun B movement. So you did a lot of prep for the movement for this. Eventually chest, leg parallel to floor. Eventually, standing knee straight, more engaged and locked. Drop that top hip down, please. Whatever leg lifted, drop that hip. Pull that belly in. Oh, don't arch your back too much. This is work, yogis. We're in that part of class where you're doing, in a sense, the most challenging ranges and strengths. Okay, now go slow. Maybe you can keep your hands there, rise up. You just switch the intertwining of your fingers, so opposite pinky. Open those elbows, relax your shoulders, second foot hovers, and just slowly hinge. Your back leg and your chest kind of stay as a level. They're moving in unison. Go ahead. Some type of balance, and it is usually considered more challenging to bend over and balance. We just bent over twice, laterally and rotationally, so you don't necessarily need to, but it is third bent over posture in a row. This is like the form of like the classic Iyengar and Hatha. So it's like a standing lateral rotational and then a standing balance. You see this in all types of different classic Hatha yogas, where these great yogis create these practices. This kind of idea is in all of them, all right? Whether you do it a triangle or a bent knee or a hinged balance or a standing balance. This is classic, okay? Now go slow, stand back up, take one, we got one more right now. It's a standing, really strength bearing. So my feet open. I did mention knees together in chair today, so if you did that, this is a really nice contrast. And it is what we call like horse stance or goddess throne pose. It's about as open as you can get your knees, okay? Get low. Arms go wide now. A lot of this in yoga where the arms are wide, you can even like pull back a little extra, shoulders back and down. Now just sit low and be still. You can do like a little bounce if you want, but make sure it's not momentum. Make sure it's more like muscular, ballistic pulsing, as opposed to like a bounce where there's less muscle contraction, okay? Now it's one round. So make it a good one, please. You really should be doing this type of chair very, very regularly. It's like a glute chair, okay? Here we go. Stand up, turn your toes in, big shoulder stretch opportunity, hands behind your back, lift your heart, your chest, feet parallel now, and reach for your toes. Here's an opportunity to go for a headstand if you have it in your practice, to pull on your feet. You're stretching again here. And I will eventually just take this into a little bit of a hip mobilizer. It's good to have your block. You kind of just like lengthen your spine. It's called Skanda Kriya in yoga. Okay, if you want to hold Skandasana, you're more than welcome. And this would be considered a squat too, right? Just notice my spine is nice and long, right? I'm not rounding, I'm not overarching. So now we're gonna go back into our only weight bearing on the arms was our quick down dog hold and maybe some of our chaturangas. So I do wanna bring a little bit of weight into the arms. So we're gonna walk our hands to the front of our mat, step our feet back, meet back in tabletop or plank, okay? Weight bearing on your arms. You know how I'm giving some options today? Your call. Easier, left knee down, right arm out and up, right leg rises. So this is like half moon, right? So it is good to do this sometimes. You could even go into like a more flexy position with the right hand and right foot. You could also do this in side plank if you want big weight bearing. Side plank's done all the time and it's really a big pose actually. So side plank here, and you can even do this stuff here if you want to go crazy. Where I'm doing that same, what we call chapa. It's like bow in a balance, okay? Another nice version could be on your forearms. Half side plank would be easy as well, or just softer, let's say. It's not really that easy, but this is a fantastic one if your back hurts and you want to strengthen the lateral lower core with back pain. This is how you really do it. It's not the knee down one as much. That is another variation though, okay? But to stabilize your lower back, it's the space between your ribs and your hips. So if you leg, the half moon one's gonna be a lot more just hip joint there. So go slow, second side please. Yeah, some of you are doing like other stuff, nice. You know, what I say is an absolute, yogis. I'm going to give you the space in my classes to develop your own practice. That's more important than me, you know, just trying to tell myself I know what's best. So one more round here in the side, ideally a lot of strain, or most strain, not a lot, but like more strained out in the arm, and then maybe through your core too. Maybe through your hips, you know, depends on which variation you're doing. Full-on triangles are a really nice one here. Flip dog works. You know, wild thing like a flip dog and plank. Subtle difference there. Flip dog and plank a little different than flip dog from dog. Yogis say there are different postures and different names there. So listen, guys. We did some push-ups. We didn't really hold a plank. Take a moment to come back to center. And now, classic Hatha Yoga. If you have a headstand at the wall, forearm stand. I'm going to go on the forearms. Give you a last couple options. Forearm balance, dolphin. One last good, what we call symmetrical shoulder. A little bit more where the shoulders stay together. So I'll go down to the forearms. A nice little version here could be this one where my heels go left. My heels go right. You know, you pause maybe a few breaths on each side. Another nice one is just to hold dolphin or do like a dolphin kind of shift forward and back. Feeling those muscles work. Don't overtense your neck. If you want to go big, three-legged position here on your forearms or hop, maybe hold. Okay, so full position would be more power inversion, forearm balance, headstand, handstand at the wall. Just like I gave you free practice in vinyasa, it's free practice in weight bearing on arms and or inversion. Ideally, it's really nice to mix those two. You get some shoulder strength while you're getting blood flow to your brain. Nice, Stella. Nice, Leslie. The yogis say though, it's so much more important to get blood flow to your brain than to strengthen your muscles on your shoulder, right? So you want to try to get, you know, remember that yoga is a mental practice trying to optimize what makes us human. It's not our shoulder muscles, it's the frontal lobes of the brain. All right, yogis. So, you know, it looks like a few of these are done, but a lot of these are still going there. So, you know, we have about looks like 20 minutes left in class. We've done some really good back body strengtheners. We've done some really good front body stretchers. So, we're both covered there. We're doing pretty good on twists. We've done like 3 pretty good ones. And then, we're doing pretty good on lateral. We've strengthened and we've mobilized and stretched. So at this point, it's kind of like we've done everything in a sense. We could get more refined with stuff, but it's really like, what does your body need? So with this small group, it's all about, people always ask, what does functional exercise mean? Functional exercise means a lot of things, but in one level, it's just, you can only do so much exercise a day. It's about getting better at understanding what your body needs. And a lot of people, what happens is what you like to do, what feels good, gets in the way. You don't kind of discipline the over, desire to feel good. So we're gonna do like a few minutes of what's called free practice. Okay, so I want to open this more up, like I want to do more free practice style of yoga because it's offered so much less. Very, very meditative, soothing. Could be legs up the wall. It could be a restorative posture. So restorative bridge. If you feel like you need a kind of little recharge, remember that strenuous exercise does use a lot of energy. So on a day where your energy reserves are low, a lot of strenuous exercise is probably not recommended. Rest, regenerate, have your cell ATP build, and then exercise strong, okay? And then use those reserves. That's important, actually. Another therapeutics here, guys, would be this. See, I'm on child pose, blocking their forehead, and I'm giving my third eye, the sinuses at spring, and a lot of the sinuses have been congested, I've heard. So, we do this pressure point sinus massage. Remember, you have sinuses right up here. Mine tend to be like a little inflamed sometimes. You can like see right here. It's like right above. Luckily, I don't get congested, but right here. These are like sinus cavities. And you can massage them out. It's very, very good for you, especially if you tend to get congestion or feel pressure in your sinuses. Really good for headache management too. Massage right here. We're going therapeutics. If you have an inversion, I want you to keep going with that. I want you to hold headstand again, or get upside down, legs up the wall I already mentioned, okay? Because we are gonna do like a little stretching routine at the end here, seated, okay? So this is our chance for our big posture. If you feel like you wanna do a wheel, now's the time. So I'm mentioning some of these big postures that we do often in the end of class. We did bridge though, so you're pretty good there. So there's a therapeutic. My other therapeutic I might recommend is the fish. I did mention the beginning of the class, but didn't really give you time. Big thoracic extension. In case you're not good at doing cobra in extension in the spine, you got to do this one regularly then. Okay, Sphinx is another good substitute. So I'm going to give you about another like 3 or 4 minutes maximum to do your last kind of a really intuitive expression of your body study. All right, more advanced is breathing work. So breath work, alternate nostril breathing, middle finger, forehead, thumb, top of right nasal. It's not on the nostril, it's at the top of the nasal cavity, it's closed, okay? Ring finger on left, elbow in, shoulder back and down. I want to give you a few moments here to do your breath work this morning. Inhale in your left. Gently plug your left nostril, exhale out your right. Inhale back in your right. Plug, exhale out your left. So alternate nostril starts with Nadi Shodhana. In the left, out the left, in the left. Out the right, in the right. So you exhale out of the same nostril, then you inhale back in. Alternate. Eventually you do the Alomi or the Vilomi. It's in and out, one of them only. Advanced is not plugging. I have been able to kind of do this once only, I remember. You can do alternate nostril eventually without plugging the nostrils with your hands. One last advanced practice would be to sit. You could do oming. or some Kapalabhati, or some of the Nauli. You'd probably have to stand up, hands on knees, exhale deep, hold, vacuum out the abdomen, okay? 2 to 3 minutes only. Our last part of our free practice today, we'll do a few things together to end practice. You had mantra practice, pranayama, inversion mentioned, body massage and self-care time. So you're getting some options that aren't normally as much in some of the practices. If you never do Om, you should probably do like Om or Hum. If you never do breathing exercise, you should probably do that. If you don't get your legs up enough, you might want to do that. If you're working on getting a handstand, you have to do it a lot, like every day. You know, that's the only way that posture is really going to manifest. Or forearm balance. Those postures demand very consistent, regular memory patterns of the body. All right. Last minute or two here at most. Some of you are still going. Keep going, yogis. So to end practice, I'm just going to do like a traditional seated closing with just a couple asymmetrical hip stretches. It's quite classic yoga. We've already done a ton of hips, you know, triangle and figure four in our back. What else did we do? Another hips. Oh yeah, the medial rotation on our back too. So, you know, hips are like really almost done. If I was going to pick one, I'd probably pick the quadricep. So like a Vira. It looks like most of you are kind of, you know, done there, and that's been a few minutes already. So I want to make sure I get you to this final part of class here. The traditional Hatha Yoga is like very much seated, okay? If you want to do camel or like restorative bridge instead of Vira, you can, but I will do the two parts, all right? So in your seated position, we're going to lean to the left and bring our top of our right foot down. So the objective now is to bend the knee very deep, okay? And try to get my right sit bone down. So if my right knee bends, the hip's right outside the heel, I want to try to sit up tall and get my right sit bone down. So it's anterior tilt and right sit bone lateral tilt down, okay? Now big inhale, start to walk your hands towards your foot. Your front leg here, forward folding. Remember, we do want to look out for knee pain. If your knee does hurt here, you could do like the Konasana half butterfly leg. That's another very classic approach, but we did that in the beginning, okay? If you were here for the start, that's the first thing we did. Now listen, come back up, keep everything in the legs the same, just go back now. Just like a vinyasa, right? Forward bend, back bend.
Now listen, still going with the seated sequence here. Sit up nice and tall, watch, left leg wide, my right knee turns out a little bit too. So now I do have that open hips, okay? Big inhale, left hand inside the left knee, right arm up and over. This is like a triangle substitute, right? But it is going to be more of that lateral flexion. And we didn't really get a big dose of that at all today, right? We got big lateral tilt in triangle. We got a big lateral stabilizer in side plank, like an anti-lateral, but not a big lateral flexion. The side bending of your spine. Okay, and then to end this sequence, it's the rotation. Forward, back, lateral, rotate. It's kind of like the classic yoga. Knee can come back in. If you want a little bit more, left knee bends. If you're up for it, right arm goes up and out, and we twist left. If this is too much, yogis, you can just twist here. Left leg straight, same thing. Whatever leg's kind of forward more, we usually twist to that side a lot. I do want to make sure you're sitting up tall. Okay, big inhale, lean to your left, right leg releases. So that's a long bend in the knee, and that's really the main thing we're doing there, okay? So shake it out. It all starts with just trying to bend that left knee, get your left calf untucked, slide your hip right inside your left heel, bring your knees closer together. Root your sit bones down, sit up, and start to walk the hands forward. And the second part is our back bend. This is kind of like closing back bend, right? Just done less like this in the end here. So you're going to close back, walk back here after you're content with your forward bend. This is kind of like strap stretching on your back, right? It's very symmetrical and it has all three planes. As long as you add like something like restorative bridge at the end, which always should be probably included in that sequence. All right, now this end, back up. We now widen the legs. So right leg goes out, my left heel stays in the same position to the hip, and then it's right hand down, left arm up and over. Final side movement of class. After this, we will do closing meditation, okay, guys? And then it's a closing twist. So I did a little different today. All right, so a more advanced yoga option here is where the right foot bends now and the right heel is near the right sit bone. I do sit up nice and tall. And I showed this version, which is the deep one, but here you twist to the right. Easier is just something like this. You always could do another one that we do more of, right? We do a lot of the basics most of the time. All right, yogis. Eventually, right leg forward, left leg forward. Final posture before meditation. You have like 30, 45 seconds if there's anything you want to do. If not, maybe reach for your toes. You could lay on your back and do a pose, happy baby, plow, or a supported position. Take your last 30 seconds. Let's meet for meditation after that.
All right, Yogi. So eventually, you have to intentionally put your body in a position that you're good at relaxing, in a sense, forgetting about the physical body. Unless you're going to do an intentional type of active meditation with the body, we want to kind of like, let's say, get the body out of the way now. We've given so much focus, time to go deeper. So you could do energy work, right? Or pranayama. So it's like a breath meditation or energy meditation. Um, I'm just giving you some ideas here because Sundays I used to have the extra 15 minutes for meditation, and now I'm currently temporarily teaching a 9:15 a.m. class in person, so I have to hurry over there. We don't have as much time. Um, so listen, my favorite method I do want you to get better at remembering and doing regularly is the gratitude meditation, just like a gratitude journal. That's important. That helps you think about it, but I want you to really practice like expressing an energetic emitting of a gratitude from within you. I want you to like see how grateful you can feel. Um, the yogis love the gratitude journal, but they're all about the gratitude meditation. They're like, there's no need to write it down. Just do it in your head. Do it inside. Yoga's inside. So just sitting and thinking about what you're grateful for. The people, blessings, your beauty, your wealth, your career, your skills, whatever it is. We all are too blessed to comprehend, really, right? That's one of the main ones. Another one I want you to practice if your body's in pain anywhere is the visualization. So doesn't matter what you visualize, but you get your body out of the way and you go into a trance-like. Remember, imagination is right brain. So to be able to awaken your inner eye, what happened is pain receptors will take over your visual cortex. You'll have more difficulty with imagination and seeing things inside your head. So we want to practice that regularly. Visualizing has been proven to reduce pain. Very, very effective. Okay. If there's anything else you want to do, I mentioned breath work and oming, reflecting on things in your life. This is the time to do some of that inner contemplation, or just shavasana, passive meditation. All right, I gave you too many options. Final part of class here. Close your eyes. Let your body relax. Do your inner work, please.